Hi, this is Tina Lorenz, and I'm so happy you're joining me today. I'm here with my friend and colleague, and well, I'll tell you about the other part in a minute, but Julianne Eason. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining me today. I'm so happy that you've made time for me. Julie has a publishing company called Thanet Publishing. Right? Am I getting it right? I don't want to mess this up.
Thanet House Publishing, pretty close.
Yeah, and she's been working in the world of writing for I think over 30 years. Is it 30?
Really long time, yeah.
So you and I both have the distinction of not being like, 20-year-old millennials online. So we have tons of experience.
I have children who are 20-year-old millennials online.
And, she started writing for newspapers for a little small money, I think. We're going to the meetings, school board meetings, and writing articles. And, Julie, you've been down the same road that a lot of we as freelancers have been on, where you have the ups and downs and kind of the wobbles with how you think about what you'll be able to get and all that and stuff, but freelancing. But that brought you to, shameless plug, Julie.
Not shameless at all, plug away.
How to make more money, the Work at Home Success Guide, how to make more money with freelance, telecommuting, and remote working jobs, which is, I love it, and I got it. You should get it too. This just came out on Amazon, right? This is brand new.
Yeah, I don't even have a copy. It's my book, and I don't have a copy.
I have connections with Amazon. And I've actually started reading it, and I especially like the chapter where you talk about the difference between being an entrepreneur, being freelance, or working remotely. And so, super good book. Be sure you get it. So, shameless plug. But and then your own publishing house published this, right? It's your first book that your own publishing house has published. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The other thing that people may not realize, and I just call you Julie. Do you prefer to be called Julianne?
No, that's a funny story. Everybody asks me that. Julianne, there was a Julianne Eason when I was in journalism and I was writing for magazines. There was a Julianne Eason who was already established, there's a Julie Eason who was already established. And this was before there was internet. This was before everyone went.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Do you have the email? Is what everyone would ask, and so. Which is hilarious. But yeah, so I just put Julianne to differentiate myself, but Julie's fine.
Okay, cool. Because I always called you Julie. But Julie's other kind of secret that a lot of people may not realize is you've ghostwritten books for a lot of big deal entrepreneurs and influencers. And I'm going to do another little shameless plug because you actually worked with Russell Brunson to write .com secrets, expert secrets. And you're working with the fabulous Alex Sharfin right now to write his new book that I don't know the name of and will soon be revealed, I'm sure.
We have actually a whole line of books he's coming out.
Yeah, and so it's just super awesome. I'm just so proud of you because the other part of our relationship is Julie learned copywriting from me in Authentic Copy 1.0, which, oh my gosh, I think it's been like 10 years, something like that.
I was trying to think how long ago it was. I'm like, I don't even remember. It's like a whole nother
another life.
Another millennial. I don't even know how long. It was a long time ago. Let's just say it was 1.0.
Okay, it's 1.0. And that was actually done as a live event in Tucson. Ironically, I now live in Tucson part-time as well. But at that point, I just loved Tucson. So we had the event there. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how the copywriting marketing foundation, how that led you to the fabulous level that you've achieved now. Because I think a lot of people don't realize how foundational copywriting really is. And, I didn't even know what it was until I was past 50. I was actually past 50 years old before I even knew what copywriters did. And when I read about it online, I just read an article and it just kind of lit me up like, I could do this. And so I just jumped in. And I knew nothing about being online. I've never been on the internet. I've never been paid to write anything in my life. And on my side of the story, I went to over 6 figures in the first year. Now, you and I both know that that's kind of unusual, actually. But you can make a great living as a copywriter. And foundationally, it can lead you to other things. It just starts to open doors. And maybe, what do you think, Julie? I think it almost is like it kind of activates a different part of your mind or your mindset about what's possible for you when you start working in copywriting and marketing, and it starts opening doors to other things you could do with that skill. What do you think?
I think whether or not you ever want to be a copywriter, everybody should freaking learn copywriting, because not because you're learning how to write, but you're learning how to persuade. You're learning how to be succinct and direct to the point. You're learning, most importantly, and I have to correct people about this all the time, and it doesn't matter if they're web designers or copywriters or they're authors, it doesn't matter what they're doing. Anytime they're putting a piece of communication out there, our natural human instinct is to put out what's about us first. So, and I just did this yesterday for one of my authors who put up a landing page for a retreat she's doing, and she had the price right at the top. And I'm like, I said, it's about them, not about you. That is the biggest thing that you can ever take away from copywriting. I learned it from you. It's not about you. It's about them. Put their shit first. Sorry. Put their stuff first. And you might have a lot of beats during this. I don't know.
All right.
You have to make it about them, and you put it in the whole thing with copywriting. And it doesn't matter if you're learning it to help your own business, or whether you're learning it to become a copywriter professionally, or you're learning it for just because it's a cool thing to learn. I mean, it's so valuable, because when you're in the mindset of who is reading this and understand the fact that they are naturally concerned about themselves first, just like you are. When you understand that, and you can put their needs first, their problems first, their pains first, their solutions first, and you do that, and then you say, I can offer this solution, or this client can offer this solution, you're done. Like, sold. Sign me up, take my money, right? Like, that is the foundation of business, I think. And I think that it's honestly like so important to learn that, even if you never want to be a copywriter. But yes, copywriting led me to a lot of different things. And it was because it was the last day of your seminar. And it literally, you said, oh, and by the way, there's other things you can do with this. Like, you literally said, by the way, you can do affiliate marketing. And I'd never heard that word before. And I was like, well, what's that? And I remember Pam and Elizabeth and everybody, we were all kind of like, what's that? And so you explained it. And we were all like, well, screw writing for clients. Let's just do this cool thing, And so I know that a bunch of us in that class have gone on to create businesses that have nothing to do with copywriting, but the copywriting supported it beyond our wildest dreams. Like, I couldn't be where I am without it. And I did, I was a professional copywriter for a very long time. That's how I ended up writing for all of these amazing people, is I was a copywriter, and all my clients were like, so can you write a book? And I'm like, yes, I can. I can write a book. And I had never written a book. I didn't know if you always say, this is another thing that you always said, Tino, is you say yes, and then you figure it out.
Exactly. I say just stay 1 or 2 steps ahead of your client.
Right. And that's that sounds bad. It sounds like you're being misleading and deceiving. But the truth is, you do know how to do things, and you can figure it out. And if you know how to write a sales letter, then you can write a book. Like, it's okay. And then the next question was, well, can you write it in a week? And I'm like, yes, sure. I can write a book in a week. And I did, because I didn't know that I couldn't. Right. And I didn't have it in my brain.
That's the other thing. One of the things you've said to me is that when you first were learning from me, there was one aspect of you're kind of like, what's this all about? So what was that? Did something?
Oh my gosh. So the word mindset is thrown around like Cheerios. Nowadays it's like, whatever, it's mindset this and mindset that. I had never heard that word when I took that class. And you led with it. And that was you were like, the first thing you have to learn is mindset. You have to understand that you are abundant and you can make all this money. And you might, I was making $25 an article and spending 4 hours doing it, including sitting in an incredibly boring meeting, and taking notes and then writing it and everything. And at that time, that was good for me, because all I wanted was $100 a month so I could buy diapers for my kids. But mindset can shift you into the next level, and the next level, and the next level. And you have to understand what's possible, and that you have every expectation of getting there. And so, so like, I had never heard the word mindset, and now it's so common. Like, there's a million books on it, but this is how long ago it was. Like, The Secret hadn't been published. Nobody was talking about this stuff. It was all like underground woo-woo stuff that, like, I don't even know if the woo-woo people had figured it out yet. It was, and so I took it in, even though I didn't believe in it. And I was like, I don't know what the heck this is, but she's teaching it, so whatever. But I still absorbed it. And it really did change and shift things in me, so that I was able to have the confidence to charge more and get to that 6-figure level. And, I'm almost to 7-figure level now. So it's like, it's amazing. It's like,
that light around your head right now, and you were kidding that it was a little angelic, so maybe we should have like a little angelic chorus. Because that's how real it is. And the mindset piece really is super important. And I ask people that I'm teaching, just keep an open mind, give it a try. It doesn't cost anything to try this.
Right, right. And you don't have to do anything. All you're doing is shifting your brain like, oh yeah, I can be six-figure writer. No worries. Or heck, even a $50,000, like for most writers, that's the dream. You know, if they could make $50,000 a year, that's amazing. I mean, that's what I charge for one book now. So like, it's,
yeah. Did everybody hear that? Julie gets $50,000 for one book, and it does not take you a year to write it, does it, Julie?
No. And you know, and it's fun. And it's like, I get to work with the most amazing people, and I get to help them develop their ideas, and I get to get their courses for free. That was one.
Oh, that's really nice. I like that one a lot. Well, so let's stop here just for a second, because when you went through the mindset, and you were, at that point, you were still doing, you were copywriting, you were doing copywriting. Yeah. So what happened to what you were charging after you went through the training with me? What happened, what you were charging for copywriting? Where did you go from where to where?
So it was an interesting time in the world, because the internet was just sort of leveling out. It wasn't the Wild West, but it was not really like passe. I mean, it was just this weird place. And so I was like, well, I could write websites, and that's a thing. And I could charge, you know, I charged a couple $100s for a website. And then I started charging a couple $100s for a page on a website. It just, as things have evolved, at the time, there were not as many copywriters as there are now. And so we could charge higher prices. But I also was like, people wanted, a lot of businesses wanted offline stuff. They wanted press releases, and they wanted brochures and things like that. And nowadays, those are like, nobody even, who does that anymore, right? But back then it was like, well, I can do all these things, and this is really cool. And I shifted a little bit at a time. It was not overnight. It wasn't like I went from writing for $25 to writing for $50,000. I mean, it's been 20 years to get to that point. But it was all my confidence level. It was all how much I believed in myself, and how much I knew the value of what I was providing was going to bring to that client. So what the biggest shift I had, one time this is the first time I charged 5 figures for one piece of writing. And I was like, and the reason I did it is because I didn't need the work. In my head, I already had a gig. I had just closed a deal with somebody literally an hour before I talked to this guy. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make great money on that project. No, what's really funny is that project evaporated. I never even did that project. It just went away. But in my mind, when I was talking to the upcoming client during that call, you know, he had a software that he was selling for $100,000 for one shot. And so we went through, and we were talking about all kinds of things. And I guess I was saying all the right things. And he asked me how much I charge. And I said $10,000 to write a sales letter, which, you know, ended up being like 26 pages, but we didn't have a page count or anything like that. I just said $10,000. And he said, good, done. I'll write you a check. Which freaked me out, because I was like, oh my God, I just sold $10,000, and it literally took me 3 days to write. My husband thought I was stealing.
That's the part.
You just spent 3 days writing, and you made $10,000. That's theft. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's normal for copywriters. I swear to God.
Yeah, and you know, someone may not do it that fast right out of the gate, but that actually is one of the things I teach in Authentic Copy 2.0. Is that it's kind of like a little bit of a secret that you can actually work part-time and make a very, very good income, because as you get the skills, and I know you're talking about a lot of different elements of copy, but basically if we start with the opt-in, which is where, you know, the page where someone can sign up, put their email address in, the sales letter, which is the biggest part of that project, and the autoresponders, which are the email sequences that are follow-up for that, you can make a full-bodied marketing project out of that, just learning those things. So a person doesn't have to come into copywriting, which I certainly didn't, knowing all these other things about online marketing. You learn as you go, you continue to build, but you have that really solid foundation for what you start with. And in today's pricing, I think it's very reasonable for a brand new copywriter who has that skill and has someone that can teach them that, to be able to get from $3,500 to $4,000 for a project like that. And that's at the low end. Would you agree with that assessment, Julie?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so here's the thing though, you have to have the confidence that you can do it and that you can handle a client. And so you might not charge that to start with, but you can like start where you're comfortable, where it's just pushing your edge a little bit, but you're comfortable and you're sure you can do it and everything. And then go, and the next time charge a little bit more, but and you're going to bump up against a level where you're like, I was like, well, I'm going to charge $100,000 for this. And then I went and like, nobody was taking it. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that's a sweet spot and I should just bring it down a little bit, but you don't know where your limit is, and there is no limit, but like where your upper level is for that particular niche until you push up against it and try it, you know?
Well, the other awesome thing is you can do this from anywhere. So, I mean, I literally teach exactly what I've done. So I've lived in Mexico for 2 years. I have a big mobile office that's gotten more elaborate over the years. And I have a 45-foot built on a Freightliner heavy-duty truck chassis. So it looks like a semi. It's my mobile office. So I have a really beautiful piece of property in Tucson. I've done an event in Maine as well. But you can work from anywhere. As long as you have internet, a computer, cell phone, good to go. And
I'll tell you what, you don't even need that. Let me show you this.
This is the coolest thing ever. And all those.
There she goes.
My kids learned how to type on this.
Oh my gosh.
It's called an Alpha Smart Neo. It is $35 and it runs for like a year on 4 AA batteries. And it's a word processor. There's no distractions. There's no internet. There's no nothing. You just type and it saves it. And then you can plug it in and upload it to your computer. But like high level, like, you know, Stephen King level fiction writers are using this because
oh my gosh, there's a really good tip right there, folks.
I don't like taking my computer on the beach or anything because it gets sand in it and everything. But this thing, like, you can drop this in the bottom of the ocean, it'll be fine. I mean, seriously,
awesome. That's a great tip, Julie. Thank you.
I freaking love this thing.
Look, people, you can start with a $35 piece of equipment.
$35. You know, I mean, you need to be able to talk to your clients. You need a phone, and you need to be able to, you know, use the internet. But you don't even need that to write.
Yeah. But that $10,000 project you spoke of, you literally went from more like, were you like in the few $100 range, and you went from that?
I was in the almost like 1,000. Like I would, if it was a sales letter, I'd be writing 1,000. But and I think I did for that. I think I did throw in some autoresponders. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
The key was that in my brain, I didn't need the money, so I didn't care if they said yes or no. And then I started using that all the time. I was like, I do not need this client. If they want me, great. If they don't, that's fine too. I am not attached to the outcome of this conversation. I'm just going to tell them what it is.
That's a mindset thing. It's a mindset thing. And right now, people listening, I go, well, I really need the money. That's why I'm looking for a way to work from home. But if you can't think that. You can shift around. I call it, one of the things I say is I have a money stretcher. You know, and I had a funny story like that too. We were another custom RV we had before this one that was going to be the mobile office, and we were at the facility where they would build them, the factory. We were talking about the order. We needed a certain amount for down payment. And I was sitting there and I said to my husband, I have a call with a potential client right now. I'm going to go out. We had another RV at the time. I'm going to go out there and have the call, and I'll be back with the down payment. That's exactly what happened. I had the call with the client. Yep, got the deal. And that, I think you kind of touched on something too that I teach, and we get paid in advance. We get paid in advance for doing this.
That was huge.
And, you know, all that. It's like, you really can get paid in advance for doing the work.
Get paid first. And the reason they're like, but why? And you're like, well, because words, once you have seen them and taken them, you have the benefit.
That's right. That's our commodity. We can't go repossess them. We can't go pull them back. You know, and I've been to masterminds, not the type I'm in now, but in the past, I've been to some events that, some masterminds with some other copywriters. And there was one there, a woman who was well known at the time for copywriting, and she was sitting there at this table going, I can't get the last $500 from my client. And first of all, her fees were incredibly low, which shocked me, and she wasn't getting paid in advance, and she did not know how to get paid. And so we completely avoid that. And if you go at it again, mindset comes into play here, because if you're just fully confident, and that this is of course how I work, there's no apology in your voice, there's no question mark in your voice, there's no running to explain why or anything like that. You just say, this is how I work. I book, you know, my fees are paid in advance to book my time. This is what it is. This is how you can get it to me. And I don't even take credit cards. It's like check or bank wire, you know, and so get paid.
It's like going to McDonald's or to, you know, anywhere that it's a transaction. And
Exactly.
so like the McDonald's guys don't go, gosh, I really hope you like this burger. And
if you like those French fries,
it'd be great if you paid me. Like, no, it's like, that'll be $25, you know, for this piece of crap burger. But like, it just, when you settle into, this is just how it is. This is my price, take it or leave it. It's okay if they leave it. And a couple of them might leave, and that's okay. You know, the higher you charge, the better people you get, and they totally get it. Of course, we're going to pay you in advance. Of course.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also the fact that you release those that are not a good fit. So this isn't a case of I'll take anybody that comes my way. Maybe at the very beginning, you might do that a little more, like you're just so excited to get started. But as you get more selective and you really are thinking about, you know, first of all, we're throwing around all these numbers and having a little laugh about some of that, but it's actually a very serious aspect of they're investing in you, they're trusting in you, and they're going to make more money because of what you do for them.
Going to make more money because of the work you do.
And so we absolutely
don't hire you there, they could miss out on that money.
Totally.
And the longer they wait to hire anybody, the more money they're missing out on, because time goes by and that's one more day that they didn't have their sales letter up. Yeah. How much money is that costing them by not hiring somebody? Right.
And I know that you feel the same way I do, that part of that, then our responsibility is deliver the value, that we deliver the goods, that we actually come through. And they are, I mean, literally when I call my course the Ultimate Guide to $1 Million Copywriting, it's because that's what my clients make, as well as me making an excellent income. I have clients who make multi-million dollars, just really huge amounts of money from the copy that I've written. I have a webinar out there right now for a client that's converting consistently, an evergreen webinar at 33%, and they are making millions of dollars. And so, you know, what you're giving is when you learn how to do this correctly, it's such high value for the client. And that's the other part. That's our responsibility, that it's not just about us, it's about them and serving them at the highest level. And I know that that's how you function, you do as well.
That's a hang up for students though, is that, like, for me, when I was like, oh, well, I understand the whole value equation and that they're going to get more value from this. But when you start talking about split testing and conversion rates and things like that, that we throw around all the time, I was hung up on the fact that I didn't have proof. I couldn't prove that they were going to make more money. I couldn't prove, you know, I didn't have, like Tina had these conversion rates and they made this much money on this, you know, oh, this was a 6-figure launch and I wrote the emails or whatever. I didn't have any of that. And so it really hung me up for a long time. And finally I just decided, I don't care. I know that my writing's good. And let me tell you, the writing now out in the business world is worse than it has ever been. Like there are more copywriters now, but there are more people calling themselves writers who have no business calling themselves writers. Like they're awful. And a lot of them are professionals writing for really big organizations, and they are horrendous. Like I can't even believe the quality of writing right now. And it's not just writing, it's communication. Like, and I don't know if it's a function of age and I'm just a cranky old lady, but like, I'm like, how is this even getting out into the world? This is terrible. And so, I mean, and I'm hiring, I hire writers now, like, because I have an agency in my publishing company. Like I have a waiting list of authors waiting for me to write their books, and I can't do it anymore. So I have like a bunch of writers, and just trying to find writers who can write a book, who understand and are at the level that I want, that's hard too. And so just understanding that you need to learn the system and learn how to write and put sentences together and be succinct and put, you know, benefits first and features second, and all of the things that Tina teaches, you will be just taking one course is going to put you so far ahead of all of these people who are like, oh, I can write, you know, and I'll charge nothing. I mean, that's what people worry about. Oh, well, I have to go on Upwork and I have to compete against people who are in the Philippines who are writing for nothing. I'm like, you're not competing with them. You're competing with the people who are like, you're only competing with yourself is who you're really competing with. But there are so many businesses out there and they all desperately need help. And there's more business out there than there will ever be writers. I mean, you have to go where the people are, and you have to learn the jargon, and you have to learn the persuasion. And when the funny part is when I learned how to copyright from you, I learned how to sell myself. Like, I didn't know how to sell myself. I didn't know how to present what I did. My first copywriting was for me to get copywriting clients. And I mean, like, That's just literally what it was. It had to, because I had to learn how to present my own stuff.
Right.
And so even if you have your own business and you take a copywriting course, it's going to help you because it's going to make you a better writer for that business.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually in Russell's high level 2CCX membership, and I help people in there. You know, there's a lot of reciprocity, give and take. And so I'll do Zoom calls with some of the people and they're just kind of looking at their stuff. And there's a huge need for people to learn copywriting, whether you're a blogger, whether you're already a high level marketer, whether you're just getting started. You know, even writing a blog, what is your headline on your blog? What's going to make people read? I mean, the whole purpose of the headline is to read the next line, you know, get them into what you have to say and bring them into that and keep them there with you. And having a call to action, what does that mean? What is it that we want them to do? And so, you know, even blogging, it's more than just, here's what I had for breakfast, here's how cute my cat is, and here's it snowing outside today. You know, that there has to be more, I call it like a marketing core that's woven through everything, kind of this hidden core, that when you learn that foundational piece, and what you were saying about writing your own copy, that's the toughest client ever. I always
think, because you always think everything you do is terrible.
It's like, oh geez, I don't know. It's like you have brain freeze when it comes to writing for yourself, and you do it for everybody else, you know, kind of thing. So
that's one niche that I found as I literally had to make a decision to stop copywriting. But I had, just before I did that, I was like, oh, this is a sweet niche. And I really, I'm going to give it to you guys. If anybody wants to grab this, writing bios for business people. $500, people paid it to me all day long. It's like 2 or 3 paragraphs, literally, but people cannot write about themselves. They have such a hard time writing about themselves. They will pay anybody to do a bio for them. They're like, please, God, just do it for me.
Yeah, that's another great tip, because like LinkedIn, huge. I had people that are already 7- and 8-figure earners asking me to help them write their LinkedIn profile. You know,
because their introductions for speaking or whatever, like they don't know. They'll be like, oh, I went to this college and I got this degree and it's boring as hell. I'm like, what do you want them to do when they're done? Let's put that, you know, I mean, like I'm thinking about it like a sales letter, even though it's a bio. And I'm thinking like a sales letter, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm like, yes, $500, thank you. Put it away. Where's the next one? And then, I mean, LinkedIn is millions and millions and millions of potential $500 bio gigs. And they're just like, you can write them in an hour.
See, that's easy math. Like when you say you can write them in an hour, $500 an hour. So
that's pretty good, right?
By learning copywriting, you know, that's what I really want people to understand, that it's like a gateway to so many other things. That once your brain starts working in that direction, you kind of put on that detective hat, that marketing mindset, you know, where you've
got to have marketing.
So you do have to have a connection to that and not feel like, oh, I'm afraid to sell. You know, you don't have to hard sell if you understand the art of copywriting in the right way. You don't have to hard sell. It's about relationship. It's about a conversation. You know, Robert Collier said entering into the conversation is already going on in your prospect's head. You're coming into that realm with them and just talking to them. And so
you just talk to them.
Yeah. Yep. You have to, like, you know, be open to that. Yeah, you actually are going to sell stuff. Okay. It's not a 4-letter word, but it's not freelance writing though either. And that's the big difference. You know, so many broke freelance writers, well, I just love to write. I've had people say that to me. Don't you just love to write? And sometimes it's like, yeah, right. You know, because, you know, it's like, you know, because there's more to it than that. If you want to actually make money with writing. So if you have an affinity for writing or feeling like, you know, I love words. I mean, I do, and I love marketing. So, hey, good combination, right? But again, this is like, you know, people talk about gateway drugs. Well, this is a gateway opportunity by learning copywriting that you can move into other realms. So for you, and that's what's funny about, because you like working with entrepreneurs with the books, and I've written sales letters that were 50 and 60
books.
And they're books. They're books. You know, it's really writing with, again, there's that hidden core. So it's sort of like a really soft sales message that's woven through the book, basically. And so that skill of copywriting has taken you to getting $50,000 per book and more, to the point where you have an agency and a publishing house.
And people don't want sales letters anymore.
No.
They want landing pages, which is a sales letter, or they want books. And I have not met a single entrepreneur who didn't either already have a book and hated it or wanted another one, or most of them have just never been able to write it themselves, even when they're good writers. Russell Brunson is a damn good writer. He's an amazing writer, but he worked for 9 years trying to write, and this is on my website. Like,
yeah, when it's your own stuff. See, when it's your own stuff, it's harder.
Well, it's not just that it was his own stuff, but he had to like work through. So one of my superpowers is being able to take what you do and what you teach and distilling it into a framework and a message that actually like sells what you do, and makes it reading worthy. I'm not a publisher from a book. Like, there's publishers who are just business people and they just want to take your money. You write the book and it's out there and it's done and it's fast and easy and write a book in a box or whatever. That's not me. I freaking love books. I collect them. I read them. I read 2 or 3 books a week. I am a book person and I always have been. And that's why it was a natural fit for me to start writing books and then now to be publishing them, because I care so much about these entrepreneurs and their messages that I want their books to be amazing. Right now, it's everybody has a book because it's a business card. Your book is a business card. If you give someone a book, they're not going to throw it away. If you give them a business card, they're going to throw it away, or they're never going to look at it again. Even if they never read that book will get passed around. It'll get put on a bookshelf. They're trained from birth not to throw away books because they're valuable, right? So everybody wants one, and most of them do not want what I offer, which is, a whole high level thing. Like, I'm going to get you into a bookstore kind of thing. They just want a book they can have on Amazon and that they can sell on their website and that they can use to give to clients or to potential clients. So you writing that, I mean, let's talk numbers here. At the very, very crap ass low end of this, it's $5,000. You're writing a sales letter. You're doing it hopefully a little more artfully than the hard sell direct response sales letter, but it's basically a sales persuasion piece. And they can figure out how to publish it, or if you're really savvy, you can offer that as a big package and double your price. But there's a lot of them come to me. I had people come to me every single day going, "Can you just write an ebook? How much is it just to write an ebook?" And they have this magic number of $5,000 in their head. And I'm like, no, that's not what I do anymore. But there's a whole heck of a lot of writers who could do that if that was their niche.
Yeah. So somebody that's learning the copywriting could start thinking about, yeah, I'd like to do that. And when you were talking about publishing, the other thing I make clear is, as the copywriter, you're not responsible for the technology. You're not responsible for web design. You're not building websites. You're not loading emails and doing any kind of stuff. It's all, you're basically working with a Word document. That's what you're doing as a copywriter. Yeah. And it's up to the client to do the rest. Now, you said you could learn publishing and add that on, but you wouldn't have to, and you could still
partner with a publisher. You know how many publishers sell publishing contracts before the book is written? Russell Brunson had a publishing contract with Morgan James a really long time before he actually had a book. And I thought it was ridiculous, but apparently it happens all the time, is for these hybrid publishers to sell a book package before the book's done, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but then they have to write the book. And that oftentimes they find that that's harder than they thought it was.
Well, the other thing I want to make clear for people that are new to copywriting is when we talk about things called tripwires or, an incentive to opt in. And so
lead magnet.
A lead magnet. A lot of times these books are used specifically for that. It's actually a client generation kind of thing. It's the way to get people to sign up for what you're doing or get on your email list. And so the quote book, again, and I've done some of these for my clients, it's got a marketing message woven through it, but it's giving good content and information for the person so they learn something, they get value from the book, but it's also a marketing piece. So you can think of it like, a fancy sales letter in a way. And
it's easier to write long things than it is to write short things.
It is. And I've always said that short copy is harder than long copy because you don't have the luxury of additional words. You have to fit it into a very small, the message has to have a high impact immediately. You don't get to wander around with extra, adjectives or side comments or anything, and so longer copy actually is easier to write and it can be very conversational. That's another little hint I give is I read everything I write aloud, and I taught you that.
Yes.
And so that you hear how and you experience reading it. I actually still have a printer back here. I print everything out. I recycle, okay, but I print everything out because I want to see how it looks on the page. I read everything aloud. And if you stumble or you get messed up on the sentence, there's something wrong. And so that's a sign, go back and smooth it out. And I literally do it with pen in hand. I'll just make a mark in the margin and go back.
I've gotten to the point where I can do it now while I'm writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's musicality.
I just stop and go back and, you know, and so I teach, don't worry about self-editing right out of the gate, but you get so you just kind of do as you go. And sometimes I've had 50-page sales letters. When I go back and look, I edited them something like 50 times, you know, but it's just small things. It might just be a word, you know, a break in a paragraph or a subhead, you know, something like that. So, I mean, I'm sure we could talk about this all day because you and I both love this process.
I'm just a geek. I'm a word geek.
Yeah, me too. And I also teach, don't use lazy words, you know, find way, you know, more energized ways to say things. Don't just fall back on how everybody else does it. You know, if you want to stand out, so that really feels compelling and makes you feel something. You know, you need to feel something. John Carlton once told me that when he would read his copy, sometimes it would bring him to tears. And I've actually had that experience where I read my own copy later and I've gotten goosebumps. I've started to cry, you know, and it's like, because it could be for someone else's product, but I'm feeling that the feeling and the emotion and the momentum.
It's empathy. Yeah. It's empathy. And you have to be able to convey empathy across the written word, across the page, whether it's a book or a brochure or a website, doesn't matter. You need to be able to understand what does that person, what are they feeling now and what do they need to feel in order to move to the next step?
Exactly. Well, so the point here is copywriting is a bridge to, and it certainly has been for you. There's someone else I taught that she has a contract where she's not allowed to promote, but she actually became a book agent also. So I have several people who have gone kind of into the book world, starting with copywriting. And so, and you're just such a stellar example of that. And I'm so proud of what you've done. You know, I feel like
I am too.
I have to really get started. Yeah. And so I guess I'd like to conclude today with my last question for you would be anyone considering going into Authentic Copy 2.0, which now doesn't have to be in person. It's all online. And I'm going to be in a private Facebook group called the Authentic Copy Interactive where they can pick my brain every week. I'm going to show up live every week with them. What would you say to someone even thinking about doing that?
Just do it. Don't think. Just do it. Because look, you said you can work from anywhere. I've always worked from home. I raised 3 kids doing this. You know, I literally wanted to stay home with my children, drive them to school, know their friends, do, you know, all of the things that happened growing up. I didn't want to not be there. And this was the only thing I could do was write to make money. And so I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids. My husband made okay money, but you know, it was like, I'd never spent $1,000 on a car, let alone a freaking conference that I had to fly somewhere and stay in a resort. And it was completely outside my realm of reality to pay a crap load of money to my brain at the time. And, you know, I think it was a $1,500 or something. I don't even remember what it was. It was a lot more than you're charging now. That's for damn sure.
It was $2,500. It was $2,500.
It was $2,500. Like, where did I come up with that money? I have no idea to this day. I was trying to think, where did I come up with that money? It must have been a credit. I don't know. I just decided I was going to do it. And I didn't know how the kids were going to get taken care of because my husband worked during the day. I don't even remember what we did with that. Probably my mom came up or something. I don't know how I made it happen, but I did make it happen. And it's because I was like, I can make more money doing this kind of writing than I can working for newspapers. And I want to learn how to do it. And so I didn't worry too much about where the money came from. I just signed up and then I figured it out. And so don't let anything like get in your way of learning this skill that can hold you in good stead for the rest of your life. You will never not know how to sell yourself. If you're trying to get a job, even it helps you write a cover letter for a resume in a persuasive tone. You will never be stuck without the ability to take care of yourself and your family if you know how to copyright. So like, learn the freaking skill.
And that's that straight from Julie, who's now getting $1,000 a book. So thank you so much for joining me today, Julie. And everyone can find you at thanethousepublishing.com. Is that correct?
Yep. It's in the book. And yeah, and if you want to learn how to write books, I have another book that they can get for free plus shipping. Actually, I don't even know if that's alive anymore, but it's called The Profitable Business Author. And that's on Amazon as well. And you can go grab that. And that actually teaches you how I write a book.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And so
go look at that. Thanks so much for joining me today, Julie.
You're so welcome. Bye.
Bye.